Love from a distance. From the moment you stepped into the Adegbite estate, you could feel the weight of old money. The mansion wasn't just big, it was a declaration. 4 stories high, wrapped in polished marble, with lion-head fountains and chandeliers imported from Italy. The floors were black granite, the scent of white roses lingered in every room, and outside, armed guards paced like ghosts in the shadows. Chief Adegbite didn't believe in modesty. A titan in the oil business and a name that echoed in political circles, he had one rule for his children: never bring shame to the family name. Zara and Mimi Adegbite were his pride, but also his ticking time bombs. Twins, but nothing alike. Zara, the elder by 7 minutes, carried herself with poise and quiet brilliance. She wore blazers over silk tops, read novels in French, and had a mysterious way of disappearing into her own thoughts. Mimi, on the other hand, was a firestorm. Tattoos carefully hidden under her sleeve, crop tops that defied her father's rules, and a tongue sharper than a knife. Where Zara obeyed, Mimi questioned. Where Zara whispered, Mimi screamed. But despite their differences, they shared one sacred bond: they trusted each other blindly. Their lives took a dramatic turn when they moved into an off-campus private hostel. Not that their father wanted it, but the girls insisted on experiencing real school life. Of course, their version of real came with a fully furnished penthouse suite, a private cook, and a BMW parked discreetly out of sight. The hostel was noisy, chaotic, and filled with the scent of instant noodles and perfume. Yet, for the first time in their lives, they felt free. It was during this taste of freedom that the trap began to close. Mimi was the first to fall. One evening, while scrolling through her phone on the hostel balcony, she squealed. Zara! Come see this fine boy. He just messaged me on Instagram. See his beard now. His name is Toby. Said he runs a mini importation business in Port Harcourt. Girl, his English is giving billionaire vibes. Zara didn't even lift her head from the textbook she was reading. Another fake Instagram CEO? I beg. But Mimi was already grinning like a child with a secret. She chatted with him late into the night, headphones in, whispering, laughing. Toby was sweet, consistent, and romantic. He called her wifey, asked for her opinions on his business plans, and told her she was different from all the girls he'd met. Mimi, who always claimed she didn't believe in love, started turning down real-life dates to talk to a stranger she'd never seen. 2 weeks later, Zara found herself entangled in a similar web. On a random night, a friend sent her a link to a dating app just for fun. She joined, matched with someone named Daniel, and within hours, they were deep in conversation. He was gentle, thoughtful, and said all the right things. He told her he was based in Abuja but traveled a lot for work. She told him she was still a virgin, still waiting for someone who'd see past her wealth. He told her he respected that. And just like her sister, Zara began to fall hard. What neither sister knew was that Toby and Daniel were the same man. And his real name wasn't even close. His name was Chuka, smooth-talking, street-smart, and dangerous. By day, he lounged in a dusty apartment with 2 other scammers. By night, he became whoever you wanted him to be. His job? Steal hearts, empty wallets. The first time Chuka saw Mimi in person was months after their first chat. He had finally convinced her to visit him in Port Harcourt. She paid for everything: flight, hotel, even his transport. He lied and said his business funds were tied up and that he didn't want her to think he was poor. She believed him. Mimi was smitten. They laughed, drank, made love every night on her dime. Chuka told her he was ready for marriage. He even faked a phone call with his mother, asking about Mimi's ring size. What sealed her trust was when he tearfully told her he needed a business boost, 10 million naira, to finish a goods shipment. Mimi, desperate to help her soon-to-be husband, did the unthinkable. She forged her father's signature and wired the money. The next morning, while Mimi was in the bathroom, he came across Mimi's phone. And that's when he saw it. A photo of Mimi, with Zara. Twins. His stomach twisted. He stared at the picture, suddenly realizing he was dating both sisters. One had already slept with him. The other? A virgin. Quiet. Delicate. The kind of girl you could ruin with one lie. But he didn't delete the photo. He didn't panic. He smiled. And he started planning. That night, as Mimi laid in his arms, dreaming of wedding gowns and baby names, Chuka stared at the ceiling, thinking only one thing. How much more could he take before they found out? What happens when Zara finally agrees to visit the man she's never met, and he's not who she thinks he is? The next morning Mimi had returned to school. Back in the hostel, Zara had always been the cautious one, the girl who measured every decision twice, who looked both ways even on one-way streets. But Daniel made her feel like she didn't have to. For the first time, someone listened to her, not just to the words she said, but to the ones she never dared to speak aloud. He told her he dreamed of building an orphanage. He told her he'd never met someone who made his heart race the way she did. He told her he was scared of losing her. And so, when he begged her to visit him in Abuja, just for a weekend, Zara, against every instinct, said yes. Zara told Mimi she was going for a church conference. Mimi didn't question it. She was too busy planning a future with Toby. But when Zara arrived in Abuja, there was no hotel. No conference. No female chaperone like she expected. Just Daniel. Smiling. Handsome. Real. He hugged her like he'd been waiting a lifetime. His hands lingered too long, his eyes searched too deep. But Zara mistook it for passion. He took her to dinner, ordered her favorite wine, and said he remembered it from one of your stories. They talked for hours. He listened, nodded, and touched her hand. By night, she didn't want to leave. So when he asked if she'd just stay the night, just one night, Zara said yes. That's when things got twisted. At first, he was a gentleman. But when she pulled away from a kiss, he looked hurt. You said you felt safe with me. I do, but... Then why are you acting like I'd hurt you? You think I'm some random guy off the street? His voice wasn't loud, but it cut deep. Zara tried to explain. I just want to wait until it's real. He stared at her. It is real. He turned away, biting his lip like he was trying not to cry. Forget it. Maybe I was wrong. That's when guilt kicked in. She touched his arm. Daniel. He didn't look at her. So she stayed. She held him. And by morning, she wasn't sure who she was anymore. Meanwhile, Mimi sat in their hostel, pacing. Toby hadn't called all night. Her texts were delivered, not read. Something about it didn't feel right. But love makes you blind. And Mimi was already halfway obsessed. She opened Zara's drawer to borrow her face cream and paused. Zara's perfume was gone. So was her silk nightwear. Her instinct flared. She texted Zara. Hope you're safe, Shaw. Where are you really? Zara replied after 2 hours. Still at the church retreat. Poor network. Mimi stared at the message. Something wasn't adding up. Back in Abuja, Zara was beginning to suffocate. Daniel, Chuka, was no longer sweet. He was possessive. He wanted to hold her phone. He asked her who she was texting. He told her she looked too inviting in public and made her change outfits. At night, he clung to her like a child, whispering how scared he was of losing her. Zara chalked it up to trauma. Maybe he had abandonment issues. Maybe he just needed love. But on the third day, she found his second phone. Hidden under a pillow. Locked. He walked in just as she was staring at it. The air turned cold. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Looking for something? Zara dropped the phone. I was just. He picked it up. He slid it into his pocket. Said nothing. But that night, he kissed her like it was a warning. And she cried herself to sleep. Back home, Mimi called Toby again. No answer. She checked her bank account, 10 million still gone. No update on the shipment. Still, she defended him in her mind. Maybe he was under pressure. Maybe he just needed time. But that night, in a moment of paranoia, she opened Zara's Instagram. And her heart stopped. A DM request from a guy named Daniel. The same smile. Same eyes. Same beard. But a different name. Different account. Different lie. Mimi didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared at the screen. As the truth sank in like poison. What happens when Mimi confronts Zara and realizes her sister is in love with the same man who just stole 10 million from her? The sun rose slowly over the quiet family house, casting long shadows that whispered the truth. But inside the girls' hostel, war was brewing. Mimi didn't sleep that night. She lay still, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like her thoughts, round and round, with no end. One face haunted her, Daniel. Or was it Chuka? The man who had her heart and her father's 10 million naira. The same man her sister was now smiling about in her sleep. She wanted to believe it was a coincidence. But she wasn't naive anymore. She'd paid her way into adulthood with heartbreak and stolen trust. At 10 a.m., Zara walked in. Radiant. Glowing. Humming. Her skin carried the scent of a man. Mimi sat up slowly, voice flat. You didn't go for a church retreat. Zara froze. Just for a second. Then smiled. I did. Don't lie to me, Zara. Silence. Zara looked away. Okay, it wasn't really a church thing. It was Daniel. I went to see him. Mimi's mouth trembled. Daniel? Zara nodded shyly, clutching her handbag like a secret. Yes. I didn't want to tell you because I wasn't sure you'd understand. But Mimi, he's perfect. He proposed to me. Mimi blinked. Once. Twice. Her chest tightened. Proposed? Zara opened her bag and pulled out a small, glittering ring. Look. The world tilted. Mimi wanted to scream. To slap. To cry. But all she did was whisper. Did he tell you about his business? Zara nodded. Yes. It's stressful for him. That's why I've been helping him out a bit. Her voice faded when she saw the look on Mimi's face. Mimi stepped forward. Her voice was ice. You gave him money? Zara hesitated. Just a little. I know it's risky, but he said it was temporary. His goods are arriving soon. Mimi laughed. A bitter, broken sound. Oh, Zara. He told me the same thing. He said his goods were coming. He promised marriage. He even said he loved only me. Zara's smile dropped. Wait. What are you talking about? Mimi turned her phone screen toward Zara, scrolling to a picture she secretly snapped of Toby, Daniel, on a video call. The same eyes. The same voice. Zara's knees buckled. No. That's not possible. Mimi's voice cracked. He scammed me, Zara. 10 million. From Daddy's company. I forged Dad's signature. I gave it all to that demon. And now you're telling me he proposed to you? Zara stood still. Silent. Until she broke. She screamed. No, 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 it can't be him. He said he loved me. He made love to me. Mimi stared in horror. You slept with him? Zara clutched her stomach. I didn't mean to. He said he wanted to marry me. He promised me. The room turned into a whirlwind of sobs and accusations. You were the one who told me to go all the way with him. Mimi cried. You were the one who encouraged me to sleep with him after he proposed. Zara screamed. They stared at each other, mirror images of pain. Twins. Sisters. Now enemies, in love with the same lie. 1 week later, Zara is seen running to the bathroom. She vomited. Mimi froze. Her face paled. Zara, when last did you see your period? Zara blinked, then whispered, I don't know. The sisters stared at each other. Realization hits like a knife. Pregnant. By him. Meanwhile, Chuka sat in a dark apartment with his boys, counting cash and laughing. Another job done. 2 sisters. 1 scam. Which of them they call you more now? One of the boys asked. He smirked. Both. But no matter. Once I get another 5M from the younger one, I go ghost. They laughed. But outside, in the shadows, someone was watching. Someone with a camera. Someone who was about to flip the game. Who's watching Chuka? Is it law enforcement? A vengeful victim? Or someone connected to the twin? Meanwhile, Mimi and Zara had just returned from school to the family house, their father's estate, to spend the weekend as their dad called them to come over. The house was too quiet. Too still. As if it knew that the truth had finally stepped through the door. Zara sat by the edge of her bed, legs trembling, eyes staring at nothing. Her hands clutched the test strip, 2 bold red lines. Positive. Pregnant. By a man who was never hers to begin with. Across the room, Mimi sat on the cold tiled floor. Her face was soaked with tears, but her eyes, they were empty. Dead. Her voice came out hoarse. You're keeping it? Zara couldn't speak. Her lips parted, but no words came. Only a sob that rose from the deepest part of her soul. Mimi laughed. But it wasn't joy, it was madness. We were twins, Zara. Born seconds apart. Laughed the same. Cried the same. Dreamed the same, and now we've been ruined by the same demon. Zara turned sharply. Don't call him that. Mimi's eyes flared. He is. He lied to you. To me. He took everything. No! Zara shouted. Not everything. He gave me something. Something real. She placed a trembling hand on her stomach. Mimi stood. You mean this was worth our father's shame? Worth 10 million naira? Worth lying to me? Betraying me? Zara screamed, I didn't know. I didn't know, Mimi. But it didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. That evening, the front gate creaked open. Their father was back. He came out of the car, briefcase in hand, brows furrowed. He had checked the accounts again. And the 10 million was still missing. Zara! Mimi, he barked from the hallway. The sisters froze. Their mother was in the kitchen. She heard it too. And her heart sank. Daddy's home, Mimi whispered. Zara grabbed her sister's hand. What do we do? But it was too late. Their father stormed into the room. Who forged my signature? Silence. I said, who? Forged. My signature? Mimi stepped forward. Tears in her eyes. It was me. Zara grabbed her hand. No! It was both of us. Their father's mouth hung open. He staggered back a step. You what? Zara broke. She dropped to her knees. Daddy, please. I didn't know. We didn't know. He tricked us. Their mother walked in then. She saw the scene, the confession, the tears, the horror in her husband's eyes. What's going on here? Zara sobbed harder. I'm pregnant. A silence so heavy it could crush lungs. Their father stared at them like they were strangers. Pregnant? Yes, Daddy. And it's the same man. The same man that scammed us. The same one that stole your money. We didn't know, Daddy. We didn't know. He didn't speak. He turned around and walked out. Out the door. Out of the living room. Gone. Their mother fell to her knees, shaking, praying under her breath. And the girls, twins torn by betrayal, sat alone in their shame. Meanwhile, Chuka lit a cigarette. He was on the rooftop of a rundown apartment in Lagos, laughing with his boys. Counting his earnings. Spinning tales about the next scam. They think I love them, he chuckled. They think I'm coming to marry them. Girls 2-day moo-moo. But then his phone buzzed. A message. No name. Just one line. I know who you are. I know what you've done. And I'm coming for you. He frowned. What's this? Then a video came in. A hidden recording, him with the twins. Clips. Audio. Everything. His blood ran cold. He looked up, and across the street, someone stood on a balcony. Hooded. Holding up a phone. Staring at him. He dropped his cigarette. Who's that? But the figure disappeared. Gone. Vanished into the city. Back at home. Mimi stood by the window. Staring out into the darkness. I'm going to find him, she whispered. Zara looked up from the bed. What? Mimi turned slowly. I'm going to find Chuka. Daniel. Whatever his name is. He took everything from us. From me. And I won't stop until he pays. Her voice was no longer broken. It was on fire. And this time, the prey had become the hunter. Who sent the video to Chuka? Can Mimi find him before it's too late? And what happens when vengeance becomes the only thing keeping you alive? Next morning, the city was loud. But inside Mimi's heart, there was only silence. She stood in front of the cybercafe, fingers trembling, eyes fixed on the screen. The search bar blinked back at her. She typed slowly. Chuka Omika frauds Nigerians. Enter. Dozens of results. Scam complaints. Forum threads. A Reddit post titled, The Smooth-Talking Ghost of Abuja. Her stomach turned. She clicked one. Then another. And another. Different names. Same method. Same lies. And in some, the same picture. Blurry, but it was him. Her blood boiled. This wasn't just personal anymore. Chuka was a virus. And she had to stop him. Back at home. Zara sat quietly in her room, staring at her growing belly in the mirror. Her fingers brushed the curve. He promised me forever, she whispered. But the ring on her finger felt heavier now. Like a chain. Her phone buzzed. I found him. Lagos. I'm going, Mimi said. Zara's heart sank. Mimi, please don't. What if he hurts you? No. What if I don't go and he hurts someone else? You think he's stopping with us? Zara's voice cracked. We could tell Daddy. Let him handle it. He already disowned us, Zara. Silence. Then Mimi said, almost too softly, he took our money. He took our dignity. He made you give up everything. And she paused, her voice trembling, I pushed you to sleep with him. You were never ready. And now? Zara wiped a tear. Mimi, it's not your fault. We were both in love. No, Mimi said. We were both blind. Click. The call ended. Lagos, a week later. Mimi walked through the bustling streets of Ojota in a fake wig, dark shades, and a second-hand denim jacket. She had followed the clues, messaged a few people who claimed to be his exes. One of them, Ruth, had agreed to meet. They sat at a buka, sipping watery Pepsi. You're looking for him? Ruth said, raising a brow. Girl, Chuka's a ghost. He don't stay still. Please. Anything you know. Ruth leaned in. He works in circles. Moves with a gang. They change names, phones, even faces. Mimi swallowed. What about now? Where is he now? Ruth paused. Then smirked. There's a party tonight. Big boys only. I heard he might show up. But if you're going, don't go looking like you. You go as bait. That night. Mimi transformed. Black dress. Red lipstick. Curly wig. Confidence. But her hand still shook when she got out of the Uber and stepped into the warehouse-turned-club. Lights. Smoke. Sweaty bodies grinding. She scanned the room. Then, there he was. Chuka. Golden chain. Fake Rolex. Loud laugh. Telling stories to two girls clinging to his arms. Mimi's breath hitched. He hadn't changed. She took a step forward. But someone grabbed her hand. She turned. A young man in a faded hoodie. Sharp eyes. You don't want to do this, he whispered. Who are you? I'm the one who sent that video to Chuka. Mimi froze. What? I've been tracking him. He ruined my sister's life. Same way he did you. But he's slippery. If we do this, we do it together. She stared at him. Why help me? Because the police don't care. The law is too slow. But you? You've got fire. Rage. That's what we need to stop him. Mimi's lips parted. But before she could speak, Chuka spotted her. His smile faded. Their eyes locked. The music slowed. He stepped away from the girls. Walked straight toward her. Mimi, he said. I was hoping I'd never see you again. She clenched her fists. But the man beside her whispered, not now. Not here. Trust me. Chuka's grin returned. Still beautiful, I see. Then he turned and walked away. The hunt was back on. But this time, Mimi wasn't alone. Back home. Zara woke in the middle of the night with a sharp pain. She touched her belly. Something was wrong. She reached for her phone. Mimi, please come home. But Mimi was already gone. Deeper into the dark, 2 months gone and Mimi is still trying to track Chuka. That evening, the rain poured hard over Lagos, but Mimi didn't flinch. She stood on a balcony of a cheap hotel in Yaba, watching the wet city breathe under flickering streetlights. Her burner phone buzzed again. Unknown number, tonight. Address dropped. Come alone. The mystery man, Jide, was clear about the plan. They traced Chuka's movement through burner accounts and flagged SIM registrations. But this wasn't just a bust anymore. It was personal. Dangerous. Mimi was changing. The heartbreak was still raw, but something else had settled in, fury. The kind that doesn't scream, but smolders. She looked in the mirror. Her makeup was running, but her eyes were harder than ever. Back in Enugu. Zara sat in the hospital waiting room, doubled over in pain. A nurse rushed over with a wheelchair. I'm fine, Zara insisted, gripping the arms of the chair. I just need to breathe. But she wasn't fine. She hadn't heard from Mimi in 2 days. And she hadn't been able to reach Chuka either. She was carrying a child whose father was a fraud and whose mother's sister was lost in vengeance. Zara's tears slipped out silently. The doctor approached with test results, his expression unreadable. Miss Zara, we need to talk. Meanwhile, in a crumbling building in motion, Mimi stepped through the heavy steel door. Inside was a half-lit room with peeling paint and shadows that moved like ghosts. Chuka sat in the center, legs crossed, phone in hand, calm like a king. You really don't give up, do you? He said, his voice smooth like poison. Mimi didn't respond. Her hand was already on the small pepper spray in her pocket. Is this your idea of justice? He laughed. You tracked me, dragged yourself into the lion's den, what now? You think this makes you strong? Jide appeared from the shadows. No. But it makes her dangerous. Chuka's smile vanished. You? He hissed. I should have known. Before he could move, Jide stepped forward and smashed the phone from Chuka's hand. Where's the money, Chuka? Where are the other girls you scammed? What did you do with their lives? Chuka's calm cracked for the first time. His eyes darted to the door. He wasn't in control anymore. But then, boom! The power cut. Darkness. Mimi screamed. Footsteps. A struggle. Glass breaking. And then silence. 1 hour later. Mimi woke up on the floor, blood on her lips. The room was empty. Chuka was gone. Jide lay unconscious beside her, a deep gash on his head. She screamed his name, shaking him. Jide! Wake up, please! His eyes flickered. We lost him, he muttered. He knew we were coming. No, Mimi whispered. He knew I was coming. She stared at the empty doorway, rage flooding her veins. Back at the hospital. Zara clutched her file. The doctor's voice rang in her head like a curse. There's a risk. If we don't act soon, you might lose the baby. Her hands shook. And suddenly, a familiar voice echoed from behind. Zara? She turned. And nearly collapsed. It was him. Their father. After all this time. Taller. Grayer. But unmistakably him. What are you doing here? She asked, almost breathless. I came when I heard. Mimi called me. Zara's heart stopped. What? She told me everything. The scam. The pregnancy. The betrayal. You left the house to this place without telling anyone about it and you know you're pregnant? Do you think I'm blaming you for any of these misfortunes? You're still my daughter and you're carrying my grandchild. Zara sank into the chair, overwhelmed. I failed you both, he said, kneeling beside her. But I won't fail this child. For the first time in weeks, Zara cried. Not from fear. But from relief. Back to Chuka. Chuka sat alone in a small hotel room in Benin City, his disguise back on, new beard, new number, as he had flee away from Lagos. But this time, his hand trembled as he stared at the photos on his laptop. Mimi, Jide. Zara. And a final image, blurry, low-res, but haunting. Zara in the hospital. Chuka smirked. She thought it was over. He closed the laptop. But it's just beginning. Will Mimi get to him before he destroys her sister's life completely? Or is Chuka always 2 steps ahead? The wind howled through the rusted bars of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Benin City. Moonlight poured in from shattered windows, casting eerie shapes on the cold concrete floor. Mimi stood still, face bruised, heart racing, gun trembling in her hand. Across from her, Chuka sat in a rusted chair, bound at the wrists, blood trickling from his mouth. He still smiled. That wicked, cold smile. "You think this ends with me?" he whispered, his voice cracked but proud. "You're too late." Mimi didn't blink. "Where is the baby, Chuka?" He laughed. That laugh twisted her insides. 12 hours earlier, Zara had put to birth. Zara clutched her newborn, tiny, quiet, delicate. Her father had arranged for extra protection at the hospital. 2 plainclothes officers stood by the door. Mimi was still in Benin, hunting Chuka, and Zara was terrified. She watched the baby's chest rise and fall, so calm, so unaware of the madness tied to his birth. A nurse entered with a chart, but something felt off. She wasn't familiar. Zara sat up. "Where's Nurse Nkechi?" The woman smiled, too wide. "She had a family emergency. And I'm here to look after you and the baby, till she returns. Meanwhile, it's time for your injection." That was the last thing Zara remembered before the room spun and everything went black. Back in Benin, Jide traced the last signal from Chuka's burner phone to a rundown cyber cafe. Inside, a teenage boy confirmed Chuka had been in an hour ago, uploading a video. They pulled it. The footage showed Zara, unconscious in a wheelchair. A voice behind the camera whispered, "You took from me. Now I take from you." Mimi dropped her phone. The rage inside her cracked into something else, terror. "Where is he?" she whispered. Jide clenched his jaw. "We need to bait him." The setup. Mimi uploaded a video of her own, calculated, cold, powerful. "Chuka," she said, staring into the lens. "You said I lost. But I'm still here. You want revenge? Come get it." The video went viral in hours, among the dark corners of Telegram, where Chuka's old crew lurked. The bait was set. And Chuka bit. He called. "Meet me," he said. "Come alone." She did. Now. Mimi stared at Chuka, tied up before her, a pistol pressed to his forehead. "Where is my sister?" she said, voice low, eyes wild. He smiled. "You're strong. Just like her. But strength isn't enough in a world like this." Mimi leaned in. "Then I guess it's a good thing I came with more than strength." A door slammed open. Officers burst in. Chuka's expression dropped. It was over. 1 week later, Zara lay in bed, her baby safe beside her. She hadn't spoken much since the kidnapping. The guilt ran too deep, too much blood, too much silence. Mimi entered the room slowly. Zara looked up, eyes watery. "I'm sorry," Mimi whispered. "You warned me. You begged me to let go." Zara shook her head. "I'm the one who pushed you to trust him. I told you to love him." A long silence passed between them. Then the baby stirred. Mimi moved closer and gently held the child for the first time. "He has your eyes," she whispered. Zara nodded, lips trembling. "I named him Zion," Zara said. They both cried. Chuka was sued to court, charged for fraud, child trafficking, attempted murder alongside his teams as they were all sentenced to life imprisonment. Love is supposed to be a safe place. But when twisted, it can become the sharpest blade. They gave him their hearts, and he turned them into wounds. But in the ashes of betrayal, something else rose: truth, sisterhood, and justice. This isn't just a story about love. It's about what happens when love goes to war.